This is the beautiful actress and delightful television star, Polly Bergen.
Have a Pepsi-Cola, the light refreshment.
In 1953, Pepsi offered Polly Bergen $50,000 a year to be their perfect girl. She signed the contract. What she didn't know was that it came with monthly weigh-ins, a 3-pound weight limit, and rules that controlled every role she could take. For 4 years, she smiled and danced in commercials while her acting dreams waited. Then in 1957, she made one choice that changed everything. She took a role Pepsi never approved. The next morning, a newspaper headline destroyed her. Within months, the contract was gone, and Hollywood stopped calling. This is the story of how winning an Emmy cost her nearly everything. Polly Bergen was born on July 14, 1930, in Knoxville, Tennessee, with the name Nellie Paulina Bergen. Her family was poor, really poor. Her father, William, couldn't read or write at all. Her mother, Lucy, only went to school until 3rd grade. William worked dangerous construction jobs and sometimes came home with a broken back, lying flat for weeks. During those hard years of the Great Depression, the family often had to rely on welfare just to get by. Their house had almost nothing in it. Polly once said the only decoration they had was a velvet picture of Jesus on the wall. She was just a child, but she ended up doing everything: cooking, washing, cleaning, while her father recovered over and over again. That early responsibility shaped her. It made her strong, but it also forced her to grow up too fast. They never stayed in one place for long. During the 1930s, the family kept moving from Ohio to Indiana and back again, always chasing the next construction job. They never had roots. Polly changed schools so many times that she never had time to make real friends. When her father was out of work or hurt, welfare kept them going. But in their conservative Southern Baptist world, needing help was something people looked down on. Polly's sister, Barbara, was with her through it all. But it was Polly who stepped up like a second mother, taking care of the whole household. Even while moving from place to place, Polly started dreaming about something bigger. She saw what poverty did to her family and wanted a way out. In 1944, when she was just 14, Polly got a radio gig in Richmond, Indiana, on a small station called WKBV. Her father was part of the act too. What shocked people was her voice. Listeners thought she was a 25-year-old black woman. No one guessed she was a white teenage girl from Tennessee. Her voice sounded older and richer because she'd spent hours listening to Sarah Vaughan records. She said later, "Everybody thought I was black and thought I was 25. I was 15. Her first paid performance got her $3 for a hillbilly song, and to her poor family, that felt like winning the lottery. That small radio job was the first real sign that maybe her voice could carry her somewhere far from poverty. Just 2 years later, at age 16, Polly dropped out of school and left home to chase a dream in show business. Her parents were crushed. They had hoped she'd get married, have kids, and live a quiet life. Instead, she packed up and walked away from everything they believed in. For a Southern Baptist family in the 1940s, that kind of decision was almost unthinkable. But Polly had already been through enough to know she didn't want a life of small chances. Her choice to leave was the start of everything that came next. By 1949, she was in Hollywood. She was 19 and completely alone. Right away, casting directors told her no. They said her Southern accent was too thick, that she didn't sound like a leading lady. She had no acting school background, nothing fancy, just a poor girl with a voice and a dream. She took waitress jobs in rundown diners just to stay afloat. She shared tiny apartments with other struggling actors and sometimes didn't even have a bed, just a couch. But every night after her shifts, she'd go home and practice speaking without an accent. She studied old movies, copied how famous actresses spoke, and tried to reshape herself from the inside out. Then one day, a Paramount executive named Hal B. Wallace saw her performing with a local band and gave her a shot. That changed everything. But before that moment, it was months of heartbreak, low pay, and pure survival. She got her first real record deal in 1954 when she was 24. Jubilee Records signed her, not in 1949 like some reports say. Jubilee was a small label in New York with just 27 employees in 1957. They had a big hit with the Orioles song Crying in the Chapel in 1953, and Polly joined just as they were starting to take off. Her early sessions didn't go smoothly. She didn't like the songs and called them laughable. But Jubilee let her make a 10-inch LP called Little Girl Blue in one session with her pianist, Jack Kelly. That album quietly became a gem. The nightclub tours that followed were nothing like what people imagine. She sang in small clubs across the Midwest. The money was so bad she sometimes slept on the tour bus to avoid paying for hotels. There were no proper dressing rooms. She changed clothes in closets or bathrooms. Drunk men heckled her, touched her, shouted crude things, and no one stopped them. Security barely existed. Club owners wanted her to work 7 nights a week for around $50 in tips. Still, she kept going. She had to. There was no backup plan. In 1955, the Little Girl Blue album finally got noticed. It hit number 10 on the Billboard 200. There were no drums on the album, just a dreamy mix of harp, piano, and guitar. Critics said it felt like a floating midnight room. Her song, When the World Was Young, stood out. She didn't just sing it. She told a story through it. People began comparing her to Helen Morgan, another dramatic singer known for turning songs into full emotional performances. Everything was recorded in one session. That stripped-down honesty became Polly's signature. But she refused to be the typical blonde singer with a fake smile. She wouldn't play dumb to sell records. She wanted her music to mean something. She picked songs with real stories, including French ballads with tough lyrics. Record labels didn't like it. They said those songs were too complicated and too intellectual for female singers. Polly didn't care. She didn't want to be cute and empty. She wanted to be heard, and that came with a price. Her music didn't sell as much as others, but people who listened really listened. In 1953, she hit a terrible roadblock. While performing in a Broadway revue called John Murray Anderson's Almanac, she damaged her vocal cords badly. She had only one song in the whole show, but pushed her voice too hard to stand out. She needed surgery. Recovery was long. For months, she couldn't perform. She lost money, gigs, everything. She had been smoking since she was a kid, and it made things worse. When she finally healed, she had to learn how to sing all over again, this time the right way, with better breath control. That injury nearly ended her career, but it also made her stronger. That same year, she made her television debut on NBC's Your Hit Parade. Each episode cost $24,000 to produce, and Polly was paid $750. She had to sing the week's top 7 songs, just as the producers demanded, even if the style didn't match her voice. When they told her to sing rock songs in a straight pop style, she pushed back. They threatened to fire her after only 3 shows. But then the ratings came in. Her episodes scored 8.2 points higher than usual. She appeared in 12 episodes total from 1953 to 1954, but her boldness made her unpopular with some executives. Then came Arena in 1953. It was a $752,000 3D Western, and Polly played a dramatic role. Ruth Danvers, the estranged wife of a rodeo rider. She had to cry, scream, and watch someone die on screen. The box office brought in $1,022,000. MGM was impressed and signed her to a 5-picture deal worth $180,000. Suddenly, people realized she could act. Critics said she had real emotional range. But instead of staying with MGM, she walked away to do more serious television work. People called it career suicide, but Polly didn't care. In 1955, she took over hosting the Pepsi Cola Playhouse on ABC. She made $2,500 per episode and hosted 47 episodes. It was rare back then for a woman to be in control of a show like that. She had a special clause in her contract saying she could reject scripts that made women look weak or foolish. Pepsi didn't like it, but her episodes raised viewer attention by 23%.
And today's Pepsi Cola goes along. Have a Pepsi, a light refreshment.
She talked to the audience directly, something few had ever done. That boldness made her the Pepsi Cola girl, and she earned $85,000 a year in extra ad work through 1958. Behind the scenes, things were still unfair. In the 1950s, male co-hosts made $3,000 to $5,000 per show, while she made $750. Producers told her to smile more, be softer, lose 15 pounds in 2 weeks, and never speak about serious issues. They made her wear dresses and heels even during rehearsals, and forced her to have a chaperone on set like a child. They also banned her from singing jazz songs that were too sophisticated for women, even though men sang them all the time. That didn't stop her. In 1955, she appeared on General Electric Theater, hosted by Ronald Reagan. She got paid $4,000 per episode, 4 times her usual rate. Her role as a mentally ill wife in the dark corner drew 24.6 million viewers. Critics finally saw her as more than a singer. The New York Times said she had unexpected depth. Reagan himself said her acting instincts were strong. Those 3 episodes changed everything. Polly Bergen was just 19 when her life quietly changed. It happened in a film where her name wasn't even in the credits. She was on screen for less than 3 minutes, playing a nightclub singer in Champion, the 1949 boxing film that made Kirk Douglas a star. But something about Polly stood out. The way she sang, the way she carried herself. Kirk Douglas saw it too. After filming, he went straight to the studio and said she was a natural. Columbia Pictures agreed. They offered her a 7-year contract for $150,000 after just 1 scene. That's how it began. By 1951, she was making $25,000 per film and starring in comedies with Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. She was one of the highest-paid new faces in Hollywood. But it wasn't all laughter behind the camera. In 1953, while doing a Broadway show, Polly pushed her voice too far. A single song nearly cost her career. Her throat gave out, and she had to get a risky surgery on her vocal cords at just 23. It took her 2 years to recover. When she came back in 1955, she released Little Girl Blue and cautiously started singing again. But that close call changed her. From then on, she chose projects more carefully, leaning more into acting. That same year, she married Freddie Fields. He was a big agent with big clients like Judy Garland and Paul Newman. On the outside, it looked like a power couple. But behind closed doors, it was brutal. For 18 years, Freddie controlled nearly everything Polly did. He made her sign contracts that gave him 50% of her income. He used his power to force her into roles that helped his other clients. Sometimes, he even showed up on set to humiliate her in front of everyone. She had breakdowns while filming The Caretakers and Move Over, Darling. Her diary later revealed how he isolated her from friends and threatened to end her career if she left. When they finally divorced in 1973, court papers showed she had lost around $2 million because of that marriage. The trauma lasted until her final days. In 1956, things got worse. Polly had been involved with a group that supported civil rights, And when the government started investigating people for supposed communist ties, they asked her to name names. She refused. As punishment, studios cut her out. Her role in The Last Wagon was removed entirely. Her income dropped from $200,000 to just $15,000 that year. She had to sell her home and move into a small apartment. Producers wanted her, but no one would hire her. They were scared of government backlash. For 2 years, Polly couldn't find steady work. Then, in 1957, she had a surprise comeback. She released Bergen Sings Morgan, a tribute to torch singer Helen Morgan. The album came out right as she starred in a dramatic TV special playing Morgan, and the timing was perfect. It became a hit. Some critics said her singing was too intense, even over the top, but it worked. That album, and her performance, won her an Emmy in 1958. Just like that, she was a household name again. But not for long. Behind the scenes, Polly was clashing with producers and conductors. She was intense about her performances. She wanted every song to mean something. Some collaborators said she was too difficult. Even her fiancé, Morty Stevens, who worked with Sammy Davis Jr., couldn't stop the arguments over arrangements. Polly refused to sing songs that felt fake. That cost her chances at bigger radio hits. Still, she stayed true to herself. Then came another medical crisis. In 1959, while at the peak of her success, Polly had a life-threatening ectopic pregnancy. It nearly killed her. She'd already had an illegal abortion at 17, and now doctors told her she wouldn't be able to have children. She and Freddie Fields ended up adopting 2 kids. That pain never left her. She poured it into her music. On her 1960 album, All Alone by the Telephone, people could feel the sadness in her voice. That same year, her addiction to smoking began to take its toll. By the late 1960s, it became a choice between singing or cigarettes. She chose smoking. She admitted it years later in a CBS interview. She said she'd rather keep smoking than sing another chorus of Night and Day. Her voice got rougher and less flexible. Her final album came out in 1963. She was only 33. That was the end of her recording career, but she didn't stop working. In 2001, she returned to Broadway and Follies, playing a character named Carlotta Campion, a fading star who belts out, "I'm still here." Polly was 71. She had severe emphysema. Her legs were in bad shape. She'd quit smoking just 2 years earlier and worked with a vocal coach to rebuild what was left of her voice. She needed oxygen treatments during rehearsals, but she made it through. She got a Tony nomination. Critics said her performance was heartbreaking because it felt real. It was. Her Broadway journey had started back in 1955 with Champagne Complex. That play caused a stir because her character got drunk and started undressing. It wasn't what Broadway was used to. She got some praise, but behind the scenes, older actors looked down on her TV background. Rehearsals were tense. The play didn't last long, but it proved she could handle the stage. In 1959, she took a role in First Impressions, a musical version of Pride and Prejudice. She had just 3 weeks to learn the part. The show bombed. One critic wrote, "Polly Bergen is about as period as Mickey Mantle." She framed that review and kept it on her desk. It was her way of fighting back. Her money problems started in the late 1970s. In 1982, she married a businessman named Jeff Endervelt. His ventures failed. By 1990, they were divorced, and Polly was millions in debt. She had to sell everything, including her homes, art, and jewelry. She even sold beauty products on TV to survive. It took her until 1993 to pay everything off. She bought a small place in Montana, quiet, far from Hollywood. One of the strangest chapters of her life began in 1953 when Pepsi hired her as a spokesperson. They wanted a clean, wholesome star to sell their new light refreshment. She got $50,000 a year for it, about $500,000 today. That deal made headlines, but the rules were strict. She wasn't allowed to gain more than 3 pounds. She had to do monthly weigh-ins. She couldn't take any roles involving drinking or anything controversial. She needed approval for all public appearances. She later said it felt like she was owned by a corporation. Her acting choices were limited to family-friendly films. It made her famous, but it also boxed her in. Between 1953 and 1957, she shot over 20 Pepsi commercials. Some of them caused huge backlash. In one, she wore a swimsuit and danced on the beach while singing a jingle. Religious groups were furious. TV stations got flooded with complaints. Some ads were pulled from prime time and moved to late night. But those ads also got the highest attention rates. Everyone remembered them. Controversy made them iconic. By 1957, Polly was done playing it safe. She signed up to play Helen Morgan, a real-life torch singer who drank herself to death at 41. It was for a live broadcast on CBS's Playhouse 90. Her performance on May 16, 1957, wasn't just good, it was haunting. She sang like her life was breaking in real time. She showed a woman unraveling on stage, destroyed by fame, booze, and heartbreak. Just months before, Polly had still been known as the clean-cut Pepsi girl. Now she was crying, drunk, desperate, and real. That night, she shocked the country. She won the Emmy. She made history. But the next morning, the New York Herald-Tribune ran a headline that crushed her. Pepsi girl takes up hard liquor. The phrase went everywhere. It wasn't a compliment. It was a jab. It tied her personal reinvention to public shame. Pepsi panicked. This wasn't what their commercials promised. They called emergency meetings. By the end of 1958, her contract was gone. She lost $75,000 a year. That's more than $750,000 today. Executives wanted to erase her. Hollywood followed. In 1958 and 1959, directors looked at her and said, "She's just a commercial girl." They didn't care about the Emmy. They saw soda and smiles. Warner Brothers stopped calling. MGM looked the other way. She auditioned for film after film and kept hearing no. The irony was cruel. Her best performance was the very thing that ruined her chances to do more. Reporters wouldn't let it go. They kept calling her the Pepsi girl. She became a punchline. The damage went deep. In 2 years, she lost over $200,000 in missed roles and canceled projects. That's nearly $2 million today. She picked up odd jobs on TV and nightclubs just to keep going. The stress hurt her voice. Eventually, she needed surgery. Her singing career never fully recovered. But Polly didn't quit. In 1963, she made a surprise comeback in The Caretakers, playing a woman losing her mind in a movie theater. The breakdown scene hit like a freight train. It earned her a Golden Globe nomination. That same year, she starred in Cape Fear as the terrorized wife of Gregory Peck. For the first time in years, directors saw her as something more than a pitch woman. Then, she built something new. In 1966, she started the Polly Bergen Company. She had only $150 and a bold idea, a skin cream called Oil of the Turtle. It exploded. Women bought it by the millions. Within 7 years, she turned her little brand into a $6 million empire. She worked 9 to 5 at her own office. People called her just another actress trying to sell beauty products. She proved them wrong. In 1973, she sold the company to Fabergé and stayed on to run it. She had built her way out of the box Hollywood put her in. But time doesn't wait. In the 1990s, Polly's 5-decade smoking habit caught up with her. Emphysema hit hard. Her famous voice faded. She struggled to breathe. But even in her 70s, she didn't stop acting. On Desperate Housewives, She played Stella Wingfield, Lynette's manipulative mother. From 2007 to 2011, she earned another Emmy nomination. She also showed up on The Sopranos, playing a mysterious woman from Tony's family's past. In 1982, she wrote a memoir. She talked about everything: endorsement deals that went bad, directors who laughed at her, and how she turned pain into power. Her books became bestsellers. Women saw her not just as an actress, but as a guide. She gave advice, told the truth, and encouraged others to stand up for themselves in careers that didn't always respect them. She passed away on September 20th, 2014, in Southbury, Connecticut. She was 84. Her death marked the closing of a chapter in Hollywood. She wasn't just remembered for Cape Fear or Kisses for My President, where she played the first female U.S. president. People remembered her as the woman who fought her way back from being labeled, reduced, and cast aside. She showed how to rebuild, rebrand, and keep going even when the world turns its back.